Hello, I'm Jenny Luddington,
And I'm Sue Allsworth.
and welcome to 12 Ways to Enhance Your Life. And we are on week 6, and today we're talking about forgiving yourself. And I might not get a word in edgeways this week because forgiveness is Sue's favourite subject. She always says you can never do enough work on forgiveness.
No, you can't. Even if it's the same situation, the same person, you can always take forgiveness to a deeper level, a deeper understanding each time that you revisit it, if you feel that you need to it. So, and forgiveness has played a major role in me being able to let go and release old hurts, wrongdoing, or what I felt was wrongdoings towards me, or what I've done towards other people. And it's definitely a forgiveness is about working on yourself. Actually, you don't need to. It's not about going around and confronting old past hurts and past situations. Forgiveness can be done very simply to some degree on your own. How have you worked with forgiveness?
For me, I think forgiveness is so important because it allows you an emotional peace and emotional freedom. You can cut yourself from the ties that bind you, from people, from situations,
Guilt,
from guilt. Absolutely.
blame.
We've all had situations in our lives where we have been wronged, and we have all perpetuated wrong unto others. There isn't anyone in this world who has never done a single thing that they've regretted. And if you hold on to guilt, or if you hold on to anger, um, really it just serves to eat you up inside.
Resentment.
Yeah.
Resentment is a good one. The one thing I think, one of the biggest keys that I learned with dealing with forgiveness, because at the beginning it was like, well, how can I forgive this person for doing this to me when it was clearly wrong? For example, I will use an example from my past, and that is a local GP was not proper with me for a couple of years when I went to visit him, and clearly wrong. Under no doubt, that there is no grey area there. What he did was inappropriate, unprofessional, and wrong, and not just to me, to many of us. So how do you forgive someone where, actually it really was something bad and wrong that they did? And it was someone. It was working with Louise Hay's work and doing the Heal Your Life workshop leader course, and someone said and made me realise that to forgive does not mean to say I have to condone the action of another person, or even of myself if it was that bad. But it doesn't mean to say I have to condone the action. But I do need to be able to forgive it, to be able to move on, let go, and not allow that situation or that person to have hold over me anymore. And over the years, I'd probably done so much work on trying to forgive the doctor that I'd actually forgotten to forgive myself as well along the way. And it came out when I went through some specific counselling for abuse last year. It actually came out that I was actually all right with what had happened with me. Obviously, well, most people would say you wouldn't want it to happen to you, but actually it was one of the biggest lessons of my life. So I'm actually quite great. I've got to the point where I'm really grateful for the experience, strangely enough. But what I hadn't done was forgiven myself, because I remember as an adult and who I am now, I can remember the 17-year-old me standing in the surgery saying no, and yet still allowing something wrong to happen to me. And in my head, I'm going, this isn't right, and I did nothing about it. Because the me that I am now would never have let back. I would shout blue murder. I would kick and scream and do whatever it is that I have to prove to that person that no means no, and this is, you're drawing the line. But I was a very different person back then. I was a lot more young. I was younger. I was more vulnerable. and I wasn't so sure in myself. And I actually found out that the biggest work that I had to work on forgiving myself was myself. Rather, it's actually easier to forgive others, even if the crime is heinous to some degree, rather than to forgive us. We find it harder. We transfer it onto others, that we're still blaming them, when actually we quite often it's actually a self blame of, why didn't I get myself out of that situation? Why didn't I say this? Why didn't I? Why didn't I? Why didn't I? And the bottom line is it doesn't matter why you didn't, because it's been and gone. And you've got to remember that the eyes you're looking through it now is not the person and the eyes that you were at that particular time. And at that particular time, I was doing the best that I could. I was brought up that you trust your doctors. So even when that was the first time that I ever had an inkling that something was wrong. So how could I not forgive myself? Because it was just, I never went back to him. So I was kind to myself and honoured myself enough to realise that something wasn't right. We don't go back. Yet I'd still held on to so much anger towards myself. Why the bleeping hell did you not say no, mean no, kick him in the whatsits, and shout blue murder to someone that was outside? And
I think we said before, we're all doing the best with the skills that we have at the time.
And there's a big process that I think I've learned, and I know I've worked through it with Jenny for different things, for her and for myself. She's helped me. And it is writing letters. Writing and getting it down. Not letters to be sent. For me, letters that I burn afterwards, because it's a way of, for me, releasing it.
There is something very cathartic in putting your feelings on paper and then burning them in fire.
Yeah. And you write a letter to that person. You name the situation, you name the event, you name what they've done, how the emotions that it made you feel. And then you write a letter to the person or persons that ever were involved, and you see where that letter would take you, because it'd be interesting. And there's no hold bars. This letter is never going to get to them, so there's no hold bars. This is your chance to let rip, basically.
Yeah.
And then you write a letter to yourself. Quite often, I will write a letter to myself, and I will actually seal it, put it in an envelope, and put my address on it, and I will give it to someone and say, at some point in the future, can you mail this back to me? Because it's then a letter that I'm going to receive from myself at a future date, where I might have evolved a bit more, had a bit more understanding and gaining of knowledge. And then to get that letter in the post from myself to say, it's okay, you're doing the best that you can, you did the best that you can, and in spite of everything, I still love you.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with forgiveness?
I think I just want to pick up on something you said about forgiveness is not meaning that you condone. I've known people who have really struggled with forgiving others. It's something that actually comes quite easy to me, but forgiving others, people I've known who have struggled with it, have this, it means they're getting away with it. And forgiveness really isn't about other people.
It's not about putting someone in the right or the wrong either.
No, it's about yourself. And you deserve to forgive, because you deserve to feel free. Be that of guilt, be that of anger,
resentment,
be that of resentment. All of these negative feelings that we have when we don't forgive just weigh us down.
And at the end of the day, none of us can go through life without things happening to us. It's not what happens to us that I deem as the good or the bad experience. I deem what is the good or bad is how I get myself out of that, how I choose to react from that situation. Now, I know that sometimes in the past I've chosen, because I wasn't as evolved or aware, pretty badly. And I've probably got a lot of people who I've pissed off over the years, to be fair, and probably want some forgiveness from me, which, if there's anyone listening, I am truly sorry. I was doing the best that I could at the time, but it's you do need to move on. If you want to go down the road of holding on to that resentment, that's actually not the other person's fault. Now you've moved into that is your choice to keep holding on to that resentment and that guilt. That other persons or the situation, that does not keep the guilt there. It happened, but it's your choice on whether you want to move past with love and trust, or if you want to stay in a state of fear, anger, and resentment. So, as Jenny said, I would be speaking a lot more on this one because it's very dear to my heart. Is forgiveness. A lot of people don't realise that the key to a lot of self-development is you need to forgive yourself and forgive others.
Absolutely.
So, on that note, go and write a letter to yourself about something that you feel you need to forgive yourself for. It will be worth it. You might not feel forgiveness at that time, but it's starting the process. It's starting shifting the energy, and it's starting being kind to yourself and realizing that just doing the best that they could.
And it's something you can continuously revisit, because you can think you've done it all, and then something might trigger you, and you think, actually, I need to dig a little bit deeper. I need to forgive a little bit more.
Just honour those emotions and acknowledge them. You can't go far.
So that sounds a really good place to end this week's session. Thank you so much for your time. As always, you can find me on Facebook at All Heart Led.
And you can find me, Sue Allsworth, on Facebook at Authentic Smile, or my website, AuthenticSmile.com.
So if you've got any comments that you'd like to post below, we'd love to hear from you. Any tips that you have on forgiveness, or any stories you'd like to share. So thank you very much, and goodbye.
Take care and see you next week.